In 17th century Japan, between Edo and Kyoto, was a 500-kilometer-long road following the southern coast of Honshu. Dotted along that road were inns giving travelers respite, views that inspired many artists, natural hot springs, delicious cuisine, and souvenirs galore. Welcome to Tokaido. Tokaido is a point-to-point movement game for 2 to 5 players from Funforge. In the 17th century, it would take about 2 weeks to complete the route, but today, it will only take about 45 minutes. Players take on the role of travelers competing to have the richest experience possible. Will you be able to gather the beautiful panoramas and companions? Or will you be left with no money and no food? Let's find out in Tokaido. Place the game board in the center of the table within reach of all players. Place the achievement cards near the board. Shuffle the meal cards, encounter cards, hot spring cards, and souvenir cards, and make face-down piles on their respective spots at the top of the board. Sort the panorama types, paddy, mountain, and sea, and place them in numerical order with the largest number on the bottom of the stack on their respective spots in the bottom right-hand corner of the board. Place the coins near the board as a reserve. Each player will select a traveler piece and the corresponding color marker and color token. Place your marker on the 0 square on the journey points track. Then, give 2 random traveler tiles to each player. Each traveler has a different special power. The artist takes 1 panorama card of his choice when he arrives at the inn and immediately scores points for the card. The Ronin purchases meals for 1 coin less than its value. The messenger draws an encounter card when he arrives at the inn and applies the effect. The functionary draws 2 encounter cards during each encounter and keeps the one he wishes, placing the other at the bottom of the pile. The old man earns 1 additional point for each hot spring card and each achievement card. The geisha gets the cheapest souvenir for free if she purchases 2. The orphan receives a random meal card for free when arriving at the inn. The priest donates 1 coin from the bank to the temple and scores for it on top of the coins he can personally donate. The street entertainer earns a point and a coin for each encounter before the effects of the drawn encounter are applied. The merchant can purchase 1 souvenir for 1 coin instead of the marked price once per village. Each player will choose one of the travelers, lay it face up in front of them, and place his color token in the hole of the traveler tile. Place the rest of the travelers back in the box. Each player will then take the number of coins as dictated in the upper right-hand corners of the card. Finally, randomly place the traveler pieces in a line at the first inn. Now you are ready to play. In Tokaido, the player who is the furthest behind on the road will be the first player to take the next turn. So, the player that is the furthest back in the first inn will be the starting player. The starting player will move their traveler to an open space of their choice and collect the benefits from the space. There are 7 different types of locations on the board: village, farm, panorama, hot spring, temple, encounters, and inns. The village spaces are represented with a black building and a black dot. If you land on a village space, draw 3 souvenir cards and place them face up in front of you. You can now buy 1 or more of the cards by paying the price indicated on the bottom of the card. Each souvenir has a symbol in the bottom right-hand corner that represents its type. Collecting different types of souvenirs will get you more points. The first souvenir in a set is always worth 1 point, the second is worth 3, the third is worth 5, and the fourth is worth 7. For example, I've collected 2 different types already. If I add this one, it will give me my 3rd type and be worth 5 points. The farm spaces are represented with a yellow building and a yellow dot. If you land on a farm space, you will collect 3 coins from the bank. The panorama spaces are represented by blue, green, and gray spaces matching the 3 types of panorama cards. If you land on a panorama space, you will take the corresponding panorama card. If it is your first time on that type of panorama, you will take the first card in the set. If it is your second time, you will take the second card in the set, and so on. You will score points equal to the red numbers on each of the panorama sections. The first person to complete a panorama gets the achievement card worth 3 points for that type. The hot spring spaces are represented by the light blue spring and the light blue dot. When you land on a hot spring, simply take a hot spring card and score the number of points listed on it. The temple spaces are represented by a red building and a red dot. If you land on a temple space, you can donate 1, 2, or 3 coins by placing them on your corresponding color in the temple section of the board. You immediately score the number of points equal to the number of coins you donated. The encounter spaces are represented by the pink space and pink dot. If you land on an encounter space, draw the top card from the encounter deck and apply the effects. The inns are represented with a red bowl of food and 5 red spaces. Every player must stop at each inn. When a player enters an inn, they will put their piece on the first open space. The first player to enter the inn draws as many food cards as there are players in the game plus 1. So for our 3-player game, I would draw 4 cards. Then choose 1 card to buy and lay it face up in front of you if you can, and place the leftover cards face down next to the board. Each player to enter after will choose their food from that pile. You may not choose the same food twice. Now the player with the traveler that is the furthest back will go. Sometimes you will move and still be the furthest behind. If that is the case, you will immediately take another turn. Some places on the board have 2 spots available. Those are only used in 4- and 5-player games. When they are in play, the player to get there will take the first spot available. The next person will take the second spot. When continuing, the second spot is considered the furthest out and will get to take their turn before the player on the first spot. Once all players have made it to the final inn, the game is over and it is time to give out achievement cards. There are 4 types of achievement cards given out at the end of the game. The gourmet is given to the player with the most expensive food. The bather is given to the player who has the most hot spring cards. The chatterbox is given to the player who collected the most encounter cards. And finally, the collector is given to the player who collected the most souvenirs. All achievement cards are worth 3 points. If there is a tie for an achievement, each player tied will score 3 points. Players will also gain points at the end of the game for their donations to the temple. Whoever donated the most coins will receive 10 points. The second place player will score 7, the third place player will score 4, and anyone else who donated a coin will score 2 points. While this game is scored as you go, you can go back through and double check your scores if you feel like something might be off. Whoever has the most points wins. If there is a tie, the player with the most achievement cards is the winner. And that's Tokaido!